Hi, this is Len Furman, the sports time traveler, with an episode in which I'm sharing a story to honor the memory of Jerry West. It's titled Jerry West, the 41 game personal winning streak. Subtitle One of the greatest records in American professional sports history, and almost no one knows about it. Each year we sadly lose great sportsmen from the past. But never before have we lost a player whose likeness is embodied in his sports logo. Jerry West was the man whose image has been a central feature of the NBA branding for the past half century. West was very deserving of such status. He was voted onto the All NBA first team 10 times, one of only 10 players to achieve that level. Despite all his success in the game, West was tormented by the fact that his Lakers teams lost in the NBA Finals 6 times to the Celtics, and then one more time to the Knicks, before finally winning the title in 1972, near the end of his career. You can almost feel West's anguish in his autobiography, an outstanding book co-authored by my friend Jonathan Coleman. And in the written version of the article, I have provided a link to the book on Amazon, which I highly recommend. What most people don't know, and you won't even find in West's autobiography, is a record he set that I personally feel is perhaps the greatest individual record in American professional sports history: the 41 game personal winning streak. Jerry West played in 41 consecutive regular season games that his team won. That's astonishing, and yet almost no one seems to know about it. In early 2022, when I found out about the 41 game personal winning streak, I mentioned it to Jonathan Coleman. Even he had not been previously aware of it. Here's what Jonathan Coleman, co author of West's autobiography, had to say about the 41 game personal winning streak in an email he sent me last week. Quote, very few people realize that what is already impressive, the 33 game win streak that the Lakers went on, is even more impressive and hard to grasp that it is legitimately 41. And yet, part of the tragedy that makes up who West was is that the losses in his life plagued and tormented him the most, especially the 6 losses in one decade to the Celtics. Explaining the streak. To clarify, Jerry West, the star guard of the Los Angeles Lakers from 1960 to 1974, had a streak of 41 straight games he played in, which were won by his team, the Lakers. The streak began on February 26, 1971, and ended on January 9th, 1972. For a little shy of an entire year, Jerry West's Lakers won every single game he played in. In that span of time, the Lakers played many additional games in which West was not on the court due to injury, and they didn't fare so well without him. The anatomy of the streak. West's streak started when the Lakers won 4 straight games late in the 1970-71 season. In the 4th game of that streak, West suffered a season-ending knee injury in Buffalo on March 2, 1971. Then, playing without Jerry West, the Lakers went just 3-8 to close out the 1970-71 regular season. In the 1971 playoffs, the Lakers were 5-7 as West was unavailable to play due to the knee injury. They were knocked out of the conference finals 4-1 by the Bucks, who went on to win the championship. This marked the first time in 4 years the Lakers had not reached the finals. At the beginning of the 1971-72 season, West played in the first 4 games of the season, with the Lakers winning all 4, But then he missed the next 5 games. In that stretch, the Lakers had a record of just 2-3. When West came back, the Lakers went on their legendary 33-game winning streak, and West played in every one of those games. The 33-game team winning streak remains not only the longest in NBA history, but also the longest team winning streak in major American professional sports history. But Jerry West did even better than the 33-game streak because the Lakers won the 8 prior games he had played in before the long team winning streak began. It gave West the personal winning streak of 41 games. What makes West's 41-game personal winning streak truly amazing is looking at it this way. With Jerry West playing, the team was 41-0. In games that Jerry West did not play during that time, the team had 10 wins and 18 losses. It is also insightful that no one else on the Lakers besides West had a personal winning streak of more than 33 games that year, the duration of the team's winning streak. I feel this 41-game personal winning streak by Jerry West should be the defining achievement of one of the greatest basketball players ever. It should also serve to obliterate any sense of failure for all those losses in the NBA Finals. The fact is that West's Lakers were always outmanned as long as Bill Russell roamed the middle for the Celtics. But during the 41-game personal winning streak, no one could beat Jerry West's Lakers. Over that entire span, West averaged 25 points, 10 assists, 5 rebounds, and shot 50% from the field, one of the great personal stat lines in history. And most important, his team never lost a game. The last game prior to the streak. It is almost poetic that the greatest winning streak of Jerry West's or anyone else's professional career had its beginnings in a time of total despair. In the game prior to the start of the streak, on the night of February 24, 1971, Jerry West had one of the worst games of his NBA career. It is no surprise that it took place in the court he dreaded most, the Boston Garden. In the 1970-71 season, this was West's second and last visit to Boston. The first one had not gone well back on December 2nd, 1970. In that game, West shot an uncharacteristic 5 for 16, and the Lakers lost. West was haunted by the Boston Garden. In 1962, 1963, 1965, 1966, 1968, and 1969, the Lakers had reached the finals against the Celtics. They lost every time. On the night of February 24, 1971 in Boston, it seems that Jerry West reached rock bottom. He went 1 for 11 from the field, and the Lakers were blown out. It was the worst shooting performance of his entire career. The Lakers' 20-point loss on that night must have added further to West's grief. The game extended a 10-game shooting slump for West. 10 straight games in which he had shot less than 50% from the field in each game. Across the 10 games, he had shot just 37%. He still managed to score 20 points per game during the slump, but in those 10 games, he was well off Jerry West's standards. In the first 55 games of the 1970-71 season before the slump, West had played well, shooting 52% and averaging 28 points per game. The Long Beach Independent featured a headline after the Boston brouhaha in the February 25, 1971 paper with the headline, "West Hits Rock Bottom." The self-deprecating West told reporter Doug Ives, "I'm getting older and I'm worn out. I'm just a bad basketball player." The beginning of something special. 2 nights after the blowout in Boston, the Lakers came home for a game against the Supersonics, and quietly, something magical started to happen for Jerry West. On February 26, 1971, the Lakers beat the Supersonics 145 to 121 in what turned out to be the first of the 41-game personal winning streak. West had 21 points and 10 assists on 9 for 15 shooting in 32 minutes. In the next game, West scored 42, and the Lakers beat the Warriors by 5. Game 3 of the streak was a blowout victory in Cleveland against the first-year Cavaliers, in which West shot 9 for 18. Then the Lakers made the 200-mile trip up the shores of Lake Erie to play the old Buffalo Braves. West started the game hot in cold Buffalo, where the outside temperature was 25 degrees at game time. Late in the second quarter, West was 7 for 8 with 15 points and 5 assists, and the Lakers were well out in front. West was on track for perhaps his best game of the season. Then disaster struck. In a scramble for a loose ball under the Braves' basket, West suffered a torn medial ligament in his right knee. It was a devastating injury. West was out for the season. The Lakers won the game, but they wouldn't have the services of Jerry West for the playoffs. West was so devastated that he stayed in the trainer's room until all the press had left the building, according to Milt Northrup, who covered the game for the Buffalo News. Without Jerry West, the Lakers were bounced by the Bucks in just 5 games in the conference finals a month later. The 1971-72 season. 8 months after the knee injury, Jerry West was back to start the 1971-72 season. Major changes had taken place in the interim. The Lakers hired a new head coach, former Boston Celtics great Bill Sharman. Sharman then asked Jerry West to become the team's point guard. Sharman also instituted the morning shoot-around and convinced Wilt Chamberlain to get out of bed early to attend the shoot-arounds. Sharman drilled the team hard in preparation for the season and instituted a fast-break running offense, with Chamberlain and Happy Hairston clearing the defensive boards and West driving the ball up court to guard Gail Goodrich, forward Elgin Baylor, or second-year forward Jim McMillan, who was emerging as a great shooter. The first 4 games went very well. The Lakers won all 4 by an average of over 21 points per game. West had averaged just 18 points a game, playing point in those first 4 games, but he was shooting 56% and averaging over 6 assists a game. Another injury and Baylor's retirement. Then Jerry West, after the first 4 games, got hurt again. He sprained his ankle and missed the next 5 games. The Lakers won only 2 of those 5 games. West was back in the starting lineup on November 5th, 1971 for a game at the Forum against the Bullets. His running mate since West had joined the Lakers as a rookie in 1960 was not. Elgin Baylor decided to call it a career 9 games into the 1971-72 season after Bill Sharman had asked Elgin to relinquish his starting forward position to McMillan and come off the bench. The Lakers won the first game of the post-Elgin era, beating the Bullets behind 31 points from Goodrich, 25 rebounds by Chamberlain, and 19 points from West, who Sharman described as tired to Mal Florence in the Los Angeles Times. After the game, West talked to Florence about Baylor's retirement. He said, "I'm just thankful I had a chance to play with him. With him retiring, I begin to think that I'll be there too someday." The next game was number 10 on the West personal winning streak. He led the team with 28 points and a 16-point win over the Warriors. The Lakers' 33-game team winning streak. And then things went off the charts. The Lakers were in the midst of their spectacular 33-game winning streak. During the streak, they didn't just win games, they destroyed their opponents. Over the 33 games, the average final score was 123 to 107. The streak didn't end until the Lakers played the defending champion Bucks in Milwaukee on Saturday, January 9th, 1972, in a nationally televised game. Coming into that game, the Lakers had a season record of 39-3, and the Bucks were not far behind at 35-8. The Lakers had won their prior game in Atlanta by 44, but on the Bucks' home court, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar dominated the game, scoring 39 points and grabbing 20 rebounds, while the aging Chamberlain, playing all 48 minutes, could not contain the younger Jabbar and had just 15 points and 12 rebounds. No one on the Lakers played well. West was 5 for 16 and Goodrich was 5 for 20. The Bucks had a 5-point lead at halftime and extended it in the second half to win it going away 120-104. The streak had been stopped. And in the written version of the article, I have a link where you can watch the game. The broadcast featured 3 of the greatest centers of all time: Wilt Chamberlain of the Lakers, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar of the Bucks, and Bill Russell of the Celtics, who was the TV analyst at courtside. After the streak. After the game, none of the Lakers players talked to the press. Coach Bill Sharman told Mal Florence in the Los Angeles Times, "I don't want to take anything away from Milwaukee, but this is one of the weakest games we've played in a long time. However, in the long run, I think the defeat will help us." Sharman was right, as he had been about everything he did with the Lakers that season. The Lakers finished out the season with a 69-13 record, the best in history up to that point, and they went on to win the NBA championship for Jerry West's first and only title. And they won it convincingly, going 12-3 in the playoffs, including 4-1 over the Knicks in the finals. Discovering West's 41-game personal winning streak. I learned about West's 41-game personal winning streak quite by accident. 2.5 years ago, in January of 2022, I was on a virtual sports time travel trip to Los Angeles. Whenever I'm in Los Angeles in 1972, I love reading the Los Angeles Times sports section because of their stellar sports writers at that time, including the great columnist Jim Murray. Murray was always an excellent read. The lead article in the sports pages of the January 10, 1972 issue of the Los Angeles Times was written by Mal Florence, the Lakers beat writer, about the game that had ended the Lakers' 33-game winning streak the prior night in Milwaukee. The headline covered the entire top of page 1 of the sports section. The article included this sentence in the last column on the top right of the page. Jerry West, whose personal win streak ended at 41 games, threw the ball away several times and was 5 for 16 from the field. My eyes nearly popped off the page. A personal win streak of 41 games? I quickly did some research and determined that no one else on the Lakers team had more than a 33-game personal win streak, the exact duration of the team's winning streak. And a little more research revealed that nowhere in the annals of American professional sports has anyone even approached a 41-game personal winning streak. Jerry West stood all alone at the top. No mention of the 41-game personal winning streak. Aside from Mal Florence's passing reference to the 41-game personal winning streak, I could not find a single other mention of it in any newspaper of that time or since then. Back here in the present, I cannot find any mention of it on the internet. But it is simple for anyone to confirm its veracity by looking at the game logs for Jerry West in basketballreference.com. As soon as I learned about the 41-game personal winning streak, I contacted Jonathan Coleman, co-author of Jerry West's autobiography, to see what he knew about it. Jonathan had not been previously aware of it, but he did a little research and told me that it was mentioned in the unauthorized biography of Jerry West written by Roland Lazenby in 2010. I purchased a copy of that book, and sure enough, On page 320, there is this sentence. Because West had missed the Lakers' first 3 losses due to injury, he had played in 41 consecutive victories, a record that surely no pro player can ever touch. I then wrote to Jonathan Coleman that this record needs to be celebrated, right up there with Joe DiMaggio's 56-game hitting streak. He wrote back to me, I think your point that it should be recognized second to DiMaggio is an interesting one. This was in early 2022, several months before I started publishing the Sports Time Traveler. I had no outlet at that time to share the news about this record that almost no one knows about. But when Jerry West passed away last week, I felt the best way I could honor his memory was to publish an article in the Sports Time Traveler. My hope is that perhaps this will help change the narrative about Jerry West from a guy who lost the big one over and over again to a player who did something so special that it's never been approached in any sport in 50 plus years. The legacy of the 41-game personal winning streak. I think the 41-game personal winning streak is an astonishing record that deserves wider recognition. It should be right up there with the most revered streaks in sports history. Joe DiMaggio's 56-game hitting streak, Cal Ripken Jr.'s 2,632 consecutive games played, Wayne Gretzky's 51 consecutive games with a point. The biggest difference between what Jerry West did and the streaks noted above is that West's streak was actually about winning, which is the whole objective of playing sports in the first place. We play sports to win. Yes, there are a lot of other benefits, but a famous football coach once said, winning isn't everything, it's the only thing. If winning is the most important thing in sports, then the player who holds the record for the most consecutive games won must be considered something very special. Please share this story as a way of honoring the memory of Jerry West. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye now.